Hey everybody, welcome to BACKERPAUSE Plus. Welcome to BACKERPAUSE, where creators bravely put up their projects to be judged by others to see if their title, their description, their image, and their video can get through the experience of BACKERPAUSE. What is BACKERPAUSE? BACKERPAUSE is when you suddenly find a reason you might not pause or you've lost interest in a project. So join us as these campaigns are put through the ringer of the BACKERPAUSE jury and judges. Tune in and tell us if you experience BACKERPAUSE in the comments. Brought to you by comicbookadvocates.com, where the love of comics comes first, and hosted by Mr. Anderson, the comics writer who creates stories that travel the realms of fetish monsters and more, and the more is ever expanding. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to the new era of BACKERPAUSE, BACKERPAUSE Plus. All right, so we have the returning judge, Ed Davis, to rush into, rush in this new era, to whatever it is, the new era, to bring the new era to life. He's going to be taking up the judging. And if you haven't been watching the last couple weeks, we kind of redesigned it during the holiday season, and we're going to be going over some of those changes. And I figured it would only be fair to put myself on the chopping block first. As many of you know, Bobby Gregory is about to launch Cat Dad and Supermom #2. So we're going to be looking at that, and this is some fascinating, exciting stuff. So here's how it's going to go from now on. We're going to share the screen because you guys are about to get a private preview. Ooh, let's see it. So for now on, there's going to be a different tonality to how we do things. And I look like Casper the Ghost right now. And we're going to be doing where we're going to talk about the title, the pitch, the video, and the image. So there's 4 parts. And if you get 3 strikes, you stop right away. If you don't have a video and you get 2 strikes, well, we just stop talking about it right away. So the more you pass, the better we are. But before we get into that and talk about this, we're going to let Ed introduce himself.
Hi, I am Ed Davis. I'm the writer of the comic series Immortal Era and publisher of Finish Line Comics. And I don't have anything live right now, but Immortal Era 6 will be launching sometime next month.
And I got to give credit. Issue #6 aren't heard of, really, in independent creator comics. Though that's such a rarity. Just getting to an issue #3 is exponentially unheard of. 4, 5, and 6, forget it. I'm currently at 4 with Barbara's story. We're about to hit 5, 6, and 7, and that starts becoming like legacy for independent creators, unless you're Todd McFarlane, and then you're at like, what is it, 1,000?
Yeah.
But we're not Todd McFarlane, not yet. Anyway, give us some time.
No.
We had some time. Let us have some time. So Ed, you saw that you were in the intro, right? We actually used.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
And a lot of this change, and the reason I think Ed is the perfect person to be here, these changes he's been in the room where we were so disappointed, honestly, by videos that left us like, what did we just waste our time doing? Like, we wanted to talk more about it. We didn't want it to end there. So I think this gives everyone a brand new, almost second life for this show, where a video wouldn't be good enough. And now we start with things, so by the time we get to a video, we actually have a better understanding of it. So I don't think we'll ever get to a video where we're like, okay, what did we just watch? I think we'll be like, oh, this was really bad because it didn't represent it. Or I get it now because I read everything else, or this is fantastic. I think this really does level up our game. We'll see. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put myself up on the chopping block with the Cat Dad #2. We don't have a video because the previews just don't show the video. And I'm still going to work out the last of the videos, or Bobby Gregory will do that work. So here it is, Ed. We're going to start off with, let's see. with the title. So let me blow it up for you because in the preview mode it's a little slow, a little smaller for some reason. Let's get rid of the feedback button. There we go. So here we go. Make 100. Cat Dad 2 gets an exclusive Kickstarter, gets a Kickstarter exclusive coloring book cover. So right away, what does that say to you? Is that interesting to you? Do you think, like, I've never heard of a comic book cover that's a coloring book, or do you feel like,
I think it's fun. I mean, it's a title meant for kids, and kids aren't worried about throwing it in a CGC slab and working on, this thing's going to be worth $1 million in the future. They just want to have fun with a book. So I think that's something cool that, you throw it toward a kid and, you just give it to them to actually color and they can have a good time with it.
Ironically enough, my biggest customer base for this is adults. Adults really like the first book. They really got a lot out of it because it's got that Scooby-Doo. And I always say it's family friendly. So I expect a lot of adults to actually be taking this and coloring it in. And while you can't announce it on Kickstarter, I'll say it here. We are going to be showing off all the stuff. It's not really a contest, I'd say, but the best fan art will go into future issues of the actual comic books. We're going to have like a fan art section. But I didn't want to put that in the Kickstarter because if you say that in the Kickstarter, suddenly it's a problem. Because you're running a contest. Be very careful with that. And we're going to talk about some changes to Kickstarter in just a few minutes and some other platforms that are making their way around. Because I do want to mention some things that have changed since last we were on air. But the second thing we're going to go into here now is the pitch. So I call this the pitch. That second line is so important because if I've got you a Cat Dad gets a Kickstarter exclusive coloring book, and you know, Ed, of course, what the 100 season is, right?
Yeah.
So in January, we make 100. You'll see a little later in the program when we're going through our individual stuff. So we make 100. It means 100 exclusives. So these coloring book covers made by MJS, Mike J. Seeley, are going to be only 100. We're only putting 90 out to the public because 10 goes to Mike and he gets to choose what he's going to do with his 10. And then I'm going to get 10. So I'm going to print only 111. But for the general public, there will only be 90 released to the general public from
okay.
And, that's it. So you get it or you don't get it. It doesn't mean later we might not color this cover and use it later as a colored cover. However, I will say this. If you don't want to spend the extra money for the Make 100 thing, there will be a reward tier that allows you to print the cover at home to actually do it. So it's part of a PDF thing, and that's going to be. It's not listed yet, but that's going to be the $1 reward. As you guys know, I always like that $1 reward. I like to put something in that has $1, so people feel like they can join at any point. So here's the pitch. Tell me if so far you said the first one was good, so I wouldn't have gotten a strike. But here we go. I'm going to read this. Team Cat Dad is back, and this time they tackle what it means to be a hero as we introduce Admiral Hero and discover his important origin. Is that enough to make you go, now I want to watch the video? I want to see more about this.
I'd say it's the initial hook, but I think it helps. It's hard to come in with completely blind eyes because I've read the first issue. I enjoyed it. I read it with my daughter, and we both enjoyed it. So it's hard to know, but even if I were blind, I'd say, okay, I'm intrigued. I mean, there's certain pitches that are just so off you don't click on that video, but I would definitely still go into the video.
Now, like you said, you've read it, you've been there. I know you've been kind of asking me when this next one is. So I believe you said your child is a fan of the book.
Yeah,
he really liked it. So does this sound exciting to actually meet the new character and talk about someone being a hero? Do you think that's a good hook?
I think so, yeah.
All right. And then the image. Now, this is a big one. Images are so important for Kickstarter. Obviously, because this was a 100 cover, I wanted to show off the 3 different covers. Generally, they say have an action moment in your image picture. Don't have any words. But because, again, this is about covers, the covers sometimes have words in it. But with this cover, drag your attention. If you saw this on Twitter, because half of what we're doing, we do show these on Twitter. We have the backer pause on Twitter. So we want to draw. With this, stop you and go, hey, look, that's cool. Look at the Cat Dad covers.
Yeah, I think so.
And then at this point, with no strikes or even one strike, we would watch the video and then we'd make the judgment overall and we'd give some critique. So this is the basic idea. This is the first time we've done it, really walk through the whole process. And now Ed feels like I'm sure he knows what he's doing. And I think the audience knows what's next. So if you're comfortable with it, we'll move on to the actual program. But first, I just want to show off a little bit. Look at how pretty this is. I am so proud of myself at how beautiful, not only the art coming from Raheel is. Raheel did an amazing job. He brought this home. There are just moments in here, like this moment where Jackson and Dad connect and he's got his arm on his shoulder. Like, that's a thing of beauty to me. It's one of my favorite things I've ever been part of creating in the comic book series. I love the talks they have. But also just the logos I used. I went a little fancier this time. I spent some time and built some prettier logos to match the different projects. This from MJS, man. Oh, I want a Lego of my toys. I want to talk to Lego now, Ed.
Yeah.
I totally am like in love with the Lego idea for Cat Dad. And
I do know someone who can help you with that if you wanted it, because I don't know if when you came to my booth in Tampa, I have a set of custom Lego figures of all my characters.
I saw that, but I thought it was just display. I didn't know you could actually have them made.
The guy that made them, that's what he does. He makes custom Lego figures. So he made them for me as a fan, but he makes them for anybody else as a business. So it's someone I could definitely hook you up with, and I know he could do it because I mean he took my characters and put them out, and yours seem more cartoony and easier to do. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I could definitely get you his contact information.
I would love that hookup, Ed. I really would. And then check out Lance's cover. Lance's cover, this is so much fun. And Jax was so excited. I know I'm doing something right with his line when he's jumping up and down, and he's over the moon about it. So I knew that was a home run. And then look at this team that I'm very proud. I have to put a comma somewhere here because I missed a comma, but because we launched on Tuesday, so this is the last features. But even the way I set that up, I gotta admit, like, I think this is the snazziest looking Kickstarter I've ever done.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I feel like I've leveled up. And we got the Cat Dad throwbacks, some amazing covers from our past campaigns. And then my favorite thing, and this is out of everything I've ever created, this is it. I've proved words can hurt you with a fart train. And I will forever be grateful that I've been able to create that. But all right, enough me talking about this coming next Tuesday. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's get into our actual program. And we're going to, from now on, be going off of our main page deliberately because we want to show more things off and we have a little more control. We're not going to be showing off as much to Twitter like we did last year. And one of the things I want to talk about, and I know Ed's probably already gotten his copies of Creator 1, Panel 1 and 2 from Comic Book School, 2 free downloads available for you. And we talked a little bit about the Making 100, but I wanted everyone to be aware of this. And look, the supply chain issue is still affecting Kickstarter projects. I have this listed to be delivered in July on purpose because I don't know what tomorrow brings. Yeah. The realistic thing is we don't know. The book is 100% done. Mm-hmm. Art is done. Letter ready to print tomorrow morning if I wanted to.
Yeah.
The problem is that's tomorrow morning. We don't know what's going to happen, honestly, 4 to 5 weeks from now after the campaign is done. Yeah. So with that in mind, I put it in July. Of course, my goal will be to get it out as soon as humanly possible and start production on the next one. So, all right, if you're ready, it's time to get on to this show and start doing backer pause. Before we do that, I just want to give a couple quick shout outs to people who might not know a few things about crowdfunding that have changed since we were last on. Did you know that there's a new crowdfunding site, my friend?
I did not.
So there is a new crowdfunding site that has been made by fellow creators who have made something called Zoop. Zoop is made by comic book creators. It is comic book centric. I don't have it in the Backer Pause rundown as of right now. I didn't realize until we went live that I had forgotten to add this, but it's on my page right now. I'll put this in when we shoot it out today. Zoop is brand new. I'm not saying anything other than it's there. As time moves on, we'll talk. I'm going to try to get the creators behind it to maybe come on a show and have a discussion. I did post the link, and I'll post this one, and it's on the Backer Pause right now on our actual Twitter feed. It says who's behind it, so there's some transparency, so you know the comic vets who are doing it. And some of them had something to do with that Keanu Reeves book, Berserker. So these are people who have already done it. So that's pretty exciting. Two, Indiegogo has now updated their standards and practices. I don't know what that's going to look like this year and how that's going to affect crowdfunding. It is new. We'll see. I know there are a lot of people who complain Kickstarter was overbearing with them actually caring about monitoring what was put up. Now that Indiegogo has adapted basically the same standards, we'll have to see. This might be a good time for Zoop to come in because maybe they won't have the same standards. I don't know if that's true or not. I think that most of the things that get denied to be on a crowdfunding platform maybe should be denied, but I don't know. That's a case-by-case situation. Honestly, we'd have to wait to see, and I'm sure we'll hear about someone not being allowed to crowdfund and it causing some waves, so that'll be coming up this year. And final thing, did you know that you can now use crypto coin to actually purchase comics on Kickstarter, Ed?
Did not know that.
They have begun to use crypto coins. I don't know 100% of all of it because it is, as far as my understanding is, it's still fluid and they're beginning to go into the crypto market now. I don't believe there has been 100% transparency of which ones you can and can't use yet. I would assume, of course, Bitcoin is definitely going to be allowed. I'm talking about the smaller, like how they're going to deal with the smaller ones and the more personal ones, they're calling it. Like now they're like vanity ones. You know what bothers me, Ed? And then we're going to get on the show, I promise. There are going to be people who are going to literally freeze over this winter, freeze to death because they don't have a home. There are people buying $1 million property on Meta, a virtual reality. We're using Mario coins, Ed, to pay for things now. Digital coins that you can never touch, you can never hold, but somehow can become real money. And they are mined from a computer. I really feel like the drugs I did when I was younger has really affected me, and I do not realize I'm no longer in reality because this can't be true. Like this, like the way I grew up, if you had told 20-year-old me people were going to have make-believe money on a computer and that was how they were going to back comics, I would have been like, no. People paying millions of dollars to buy virtual landscape, I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
God bless you, Jax, but this is the reality we live in. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. I guess it shows my age when I just look blankly at someone talking about that kind of stuff.
I look like, like I don't even like the stock market because I think that's mostly make believe and people have found a way to game people. I think it's the biggest like con going that's legalized outside of the government. But now there's even more stuff. Like when you ask anyone who's into crypto about crypto, 95% of them can't tell you anything other than they can make money doing it. And how scary is that? But I can make money doing it. You can make money selling drugs. I wouldn't suggest selling drugs. Maybe you should know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. I mean, I could be completely wrong. We could be paying Mario money in 5 years from now. There won't be any real money in the world left. No more paper dollars. We'll have chips in our arms, getting vaccinated 10 times a week. I don't know what the future holds. It's going to be crazy, though. Like, don't you feel like we're going towards Blade Runner just a little too much?
Way too quickly.
Yeah. Like, I'm starting to be like, there is no more spring either. There is only summer in Florida. That is it. Just summer.
Well, California is pretty close to the same.
Yeah. You guys getting rain as an event now.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, it rained for 3 days in a row and people freak out.
What do we do with all this water? All right, so here we go. Our friend Sean Keenan, the very first entrant into the new era of Backer Pause officially. Fractured. Okay, so here it is. This is the quote we have. It's Fractured Shards, Volume 1 and 2. What does that do for you? Down at the bottom, under the image, because that's why we're doing
under the image. Okay, so 48 page. There we go.
The top was something I put in because he's a friend.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a good start. It definitely makes me want to find out more. It's not enough to get me hooked, especially when you're talking about the creative mind of someone I'm not familiar with. So the name isn't going to sell the book for me, but that's okay because this is just the first bite, and it's, you know, the art intrigues me enough that I would click onto the campaign.
All right, so the image gets you. Now, what about the pitch? A 48-page cyberpunk crime graphic novel of quantum proportions from the creative mind of Dan, and I'm not going to say his last name, so I'll ruin it.
It's a start. I don't think it's a small pitch, but you know, it's okay. I know it's 48 pages, cyberpunk. If it's not a genre I read a lot, so it's the art's gonna hook me more than that, and then I'd have to read into the story. So it's a good start. I don't honestly, when I'm reading them, I think I look more at the art and then go right to the video. I don't read a lot of those, but I know people do because I had people on my last campaign saying, okay, I read your little pitch, and that's what wrote me in. So there are people who really pay attention to everything. And I didn't realize that until last time when he said, okay, the video didn't quite get me, the pitch didn't quite get me, but then your story was what got me. So it made me think, okay, don't half-ass any of it because people are paying attention to every little bit.
And in this, and Sean's a friend, and he's a dear friend, and he knows I appreciate him, but I'm going to have to beat him up a little bit here. All the words he used, while clever, outside of cyberpunk and crime, did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't lead me anywhere. It doesn't tell me anything. I don't know who Dan is, and that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's nothing against Dan. I don't know who Dan is. So unless Dan's got a gigantic base, which he very well could have a gigantic base, just for me as a consumer, that did nothing. The 48-page count, I'll be honest, that could interest me, but that'll have to come in with pricing later. How much you can charge for 48 pages? If it's a decent price, you're going to get a backer out of me. So that's a good hook. I'll give him credit. That is a good hook. But quantum proportions is just wordplay for a writer. It is word masturbation for a writer because it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. There's nothing there, and from the creative mind. But let me ask you, all this together, you would watch the video, wouldn't you?
I would.
All right, so let's take a look at that video. We actually have it. Remember, raise your hand. Same rules apply. This is Fractured Shards.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Dan Furigal, and I'm here today to talk to you about the next chapter in my graphic novel series, Fractured Shards.
Heard you're working the dark case.
You murdering motherfucker! Execution order.
Denied. What can you find? How can I destroy him?
Access granted.
I spy with my little eye.
Fractured Shards is set in a dystopian future where the world is separated into the glittering paradise of the lights and the slums of the district. Detective Sebastian Vitro works on the most horrific of cases between both of those worlds as an enforcement officer. When a horrific crime occurs, sometimes that moment in time can fracture, opening up glimpses into that event. In Volume 2, we follow along as Sebastian and Abigail try to solve a case using those fractures before they are permanently put on ice. Now, who would like this book? Fans of Judge Dredd, Transmetropolitan, Ronin, Ghost in the Shell, and other cyberpunk dystopian stories, as well as people who like the movies Blade Runner, Watchmen, Minority Report, Dredd. If you like your comics with tons of action, mind-blowing visuals, quality feel and production, then this book is for you. We have some phenomenal Kickstarter rewards. We have digital and physical versions of the graphic novel, variant covers, signature book plates, original artwork, getting yourself drawn into the book. And
I stopped it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was on the fence there because reward talk never keeps me hooked in.
Me neither, and it wastes. It's nothing against the campaign. Go back and watch it if you were interested in it. It just wastes time on BACKERPAUSE because at that point, either you're in or you're not. So we
Yeah.
only talk about the pitching. So what did you think overall, though?
I think the structure could have been stronger because he waited to give any kind of narrative of what the story was about until after the video. And I think if he had put the audio over the video instead of just little bits of dialogue, I think it would have been stronger to tell us, okay, the dystopian future and that he's a cop taking the worst cases. Tell us while we're actually seeing the bits of the art. And I don't like being mean, but he seems very braggy about his stuff, and that's just not my style. I'm not gonna say the phenomenal me. It's like, all right, let us judge if we consider that phenomenal artwork.
That's an important point. I will say the video itself dragged Jax out of bed. He ran over and was on my shoulder. And if he had just ended it before he started talking and doing that extra pitch, I almost feel like he should have split the video. He had a great beginning, and when he came back, the tonality changed. Like you had me backing, and like you said, my ADHD kicked in, and I was like, I'm bored. Backer pause. And for you, it was like, okay, so now he's talking about how great he is. Who are you? And now you get that moment where you're like, well, wait a minute, who are you? And you might look him up and find out he's like a fantastic guy.
Yeah, he could be the best. I don't know. And he has a good energy.
Yeah.
Because you get me in front of a camera trying to film, because my first couple campaigns I did that. And I could have the greatest energy until the moment that button is pressed and the record is starting, and I just freeze up and I'm terrible. So I liked his energy throughout. He has that. I guess it's just my own thing. As soon as you get to listing your rewards, I always stop the video. And that doesn't mean I don't back it. I might still go in and back it. And there's a good chance I will, because it does sound good. I like the art style, but yeah, I don't need to know what you have. I can go check that out myself.
And before we move on, because normally we would talk about Ed's project, but he doesn't have it live right now, so we're just going to do some ads for us as we're going through today. The Independent Creator Awards are back. Make sure you go. Ed, you have to start entering. I'm
going to. I'm working on it now. That was what I was doing before we started, was getting some pictures and everything, because I know you like to actually not just have me put it up, but see the evidence. So I'm gathering evidence as we speak.
I'm a shower and a grower. What can I say? The Independent Creator Awards are back. And this year we're doing something cool. The fans getting a whole night. We're having the Fandom Bubble Awards, where we'll give out the awards that were given by the fans, and then we'll have the judge-juried ones, where the actual judge and the jury of judges, I'll sit down and look at everything, and everyone will bring in their experiences and pick out the best. So this will stop just popularity being popular, because there'll be a wild card entrant that I get to pick for every single one, unless I'm involved in it. And I won't be involved in a lot of the awards because I don't roll that way. As always, the awards are free. There's no charge to enter it. There are no physical rewards because we're on an indie budget. Indie budgets mean that I'm going to make something in Photoshop and you guys are going to get a ribbon. It doesn't mean that it's not important, because we have a lot of people coming together to make these awards a fun, amazing adventure. So join us on Facebook at the Independent Creator Awards. And moving on, we don't have a video for this one, but we'll go through it anyway. So here it is. Kickstarter's name is Rain. I think it's Ray. Rain? Is that Rain?
Rain, yeah.
Yeah, of issue 1. Do you think putting the issue, like this has been something we've talked about in the past, does the number of the issue matter?
See, I don't know, but I know someone told me when I launched, I did issue 1, then I did one that was issue 2 and 3, and I was told you should put 1, 2, and 3 because you're excluding people who don't have number 1. So I know for some people it makes a difference, so I always put it there. So when issue 6 it launches next month, it'll say issues 1 through 6. So that people know that they can get the back issues in there.
And now, of course, what we should do, I think we're changing as we're going right now. This is the first time we're doing it. Maybe we should start talking about the image right away. So I think the image, like you said something that stuck in my head. The image is the first thing you notice. So this image right away, and this is an interesting moment, what do you get from the image?
I like the art. I like the energy, and it looks like a strong character. That's knowing nothing about the series or the character, but I like that. That's a strong image to pick because it's a good action shot and just shows off what I think is a good, strong character design.
I'd agree with you, and then that's why I think this is so detrimental to the campaign itself. The pitch line, I think, is horrible. It says issue 1 of a high fantasy action comic by W.S. Quinton and Nick Capino. Again,
that
I
tells
don't know
me
who
nothing.
these guys are, and it's nothing. It might just be me not meeting you. You could be the biggest celebrities in your circle. You haven't made it to my circle, and I don't know who you are. I don't. So that doesn't help me. I no longer know what's going on. I know this is an issue 1. I know if I'm a collector, it's an issue 1. I don't know what high fantasy action is. I don't even know what that is.
No.
What does that mean? I've never heard that. Is this in the medieval times? Is she a cosplayer for hire who does birthday parties? This leaves me with an imagination. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would click this because it's just another girl character. And if you'd given me a good pitch, I might have been interested. But right now it feels like maybe you rely on your female character and how she looks a little too much. And that's a dangerous position to put yourself in. The art is stunning enough that I'll be honest, I would click it. How about you?
Yeah, that's beautiful art. I would definitely go further into it.
But that's
pitch,
just
not strong. But I honestly, I don't even think I had anything the first time I did it. Just, post-apocalyptic story 200 years in the future. I just said something like that. But I honestly, I went in completely blind. I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I launched my first issue.
But even that one right there, post-apocalyptic, I know what you're doing 200 years in the future. That right there is a good enough pitch to get me in the door. And that's what you need with these. You need in-the-door moments. Why are you entering? And this is a knock on the door. If you're telling me who does it, it feels like you're just, like you said, kind of patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
This is what we created. Unless, and again, some people are going for their fan base. There are some people who can get away with that. But if you could get away with that, wouldn't the people back it anyway who are already following you? So shouldn't this campaign be about the people who don't know who you are?
Yeah, that's who you're aiming for, because your fans are going to back you. Your family and friends, they're going to back you, but the strangers, they're not going to know your name, so they're not jumping in just like, oh yes, WS, that's my favorite writer. The people don't know him, and I'm not going to put my name because people don't know me. I would have to, try to sell the premise itself. And this year, I'm hoping to launch another title, and it's I can't just say the writer of Immortal Era, because people will say, what the hell is that? I don't know. They need to know what the story's about, not who I am.
And remember, your Kickstarter, the one thing I've always loved about Kickstarter, it goes on main pages. It goes in different places in social media beyond your reach. And if they don't know who you are, you might be turning people off with this, because now they feel like they're not in the know. And the worst thing you could do is make someone feel like they don't know what's going on. So they're not part of what's going on. And that's an important moment to just kind of keep in the back of your head when you're doing this. I always suggest never having your name in it. We put the names up top as part of BackerPause. If you guys are watching the show and go, but I see all of that in there. That's because we're doing this on top of what you're doing on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So the top on there, that's Ed, Joe, we talk about who it is. We give some stuff that they have put in. Sometimes I put the top. Sometimes they give me more information. So here's a little clue. If you're doing Comics Newswire and you want extra stuff put on top of this with the date that it ends in the link, write something. Give me something that your title doesn't do. This is a great way to have a secondary thing, and I hope this kicks on later in the year, because this is the first time we're going back to this, and we're really going to focus on these smaller things. Now, this is brand new. I haven't even seen this. This does have a video. This is something I just got exposed to just a few minutes ago, literally like a half an hour ago while I was on a meeting. So here we go. First, the image. Let's start there. Does this do anything for you?
It's fine, but it wouldn't be the thing that would bring me into the story.
To be honest with you, I would be turned off by this, because it doesn't tell, like you said, right away. I'm like, okay, so they just did something because it's a new year. It's just thrown together. That's what it feels like. That first instant. Why is there this character? Why isn't there a background? I would have rather something different. That's just my opinion. So then we go on to the title. So I would call that a strike. That one for me is a strike. Second thing, the New Year, New Stories anthology. Again, I am so bored by that. I could not tell you how little I could care that it's a new year. Like, that doesn't draw. Like, as a fan of comics, you have done nothing.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not selling me in any way because I don't care about 2022. It's not what's going to bring me in. What's
Right.
the story about? What's the comic about? It's an anthology. Great. What kind of anthology? Because if you tell me, okay, a new horror anthology for the new year, all right, I love horror anthologies. You've brought me in that way. A new fantasy anthology. Those are the ones I pick, and half the time I just read it's a horror anthology with 20 creators, and I just click buy because I love reading horror anthologies. But it needs more.
Yeah, Dev, I completely agree with you. I'm just fixing something for Jaxie right now. I will say this, though. The next line doesn't do anything to help anything that's going on. Again, I don't know if it's deliberately lazy or accidentally lazy for this, but you're not giving anything to me. Like you said, I don't know horror. I don't know anything. And the next thing you tell me is it's an anthology to celebrate indie comics creators' work through 2021. Does that mean anyone's work showed up? You haven't established what the boundaries of this book are.
Yeah, and it can't be too spread out. I don't want to read an anthology that's not focused, that's not centered. Okay, it's indie creators. I read a lot of indie creators already. What indie creators now? Maybe you do want to drop a name because there might be an indie creator that I follow, but in the case of the line, just indie creators who did work in 2021. Again, I need to know more, and I don't think I would be compelled to learn more. I don't think I would have said, "All right, you've got me now." It's like, nope, you've kind of lost me already, and I'm going to scroll on.
And I think that in the future we should do a 2-strike thing. If something gets 2 strikes, the judge gets to decide if they want to keep going. So this is 3 strikes in a row. But I'm going to ask you as the judge, because you have the power on the show right now. So I want to make this show fun. I want to have judges to have fun. And if they want to continue, we'll continue on their regard. So as the judge now, they've had 3 straight strikes. Realistically, we didn't like anything with this. Would you like to see the video?
I'd say let's give them a shot.
All right, hands up if I should say, if you feel like you need to exit. Here we go.
Welcome back. I'm Shade, your friendly anthology mascot, and I am pleased to bring you another new year complete with new stories. 2021 was slightly better for indie creators than last year, but we're nowhere near out of the yet. Creators who publish comics have still struggled to get to conventions with restrictions in place and get their voices heard over all the larger people shouting for your attention! Things really took off since I got involved. So when the guys in charge asked me to come back, I said I was happy to make sure people heard all about the incredible work that creators had been building for the last year. New Year, New Stories 2022 will once again bring you a huge collection of stories from 16, count it, different creators. We have stories from superhero, sci-fi, fantasy, historical and modern worlds to thrill and amaze. So, hit the pledge button and help these indie creators continue to bring amusing, moving.
What happened, Ed?
It wasn't playing at all. It just says the browser won't play the video.
No, it's weird. It played on my end.
Did it? Okay. Well, I didn't see.
Let me see. Since we're having a problem that way, because I don't know if it was your problem or my problem. Let's try
It's
that.
hard to say.
Can you see this?
Yeah, it's showing now.
Okay. So
welcome back. I'm Shade,
your friendly anthology mascot, and I am pleased to bring you another new year complete with new stories. 2021 was slightly better for indie creators than last year, but we're nowhere near out of the yet. Creators who publish comics have still struggled to get to conventions with restrictions in place and get their voices heard over all the larger people shouting for your attention! Things really took off since I got involved. So when the guys in charge asked me to come back, I said I was...
Now, I'll say right now, we're a minute in. You missed this. And they haven't told me anything. But wait for it. Just because I'm going to take 1 minute to show how long it tells them to get to the
New
pitch.
Year, New Stories 2022 will once again bring you a huge collection of stories from superheroes, 16 counted different creators.
It takes them to 1:06 to start talking about the actual project.
Yeah, I was putting my hand up. I was ready. I was done, and I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, thinking, okay, maybe they're new to this. Maybe they don't know the beginning hooks. Because I mean, I didn't. You learn as you go, and I thought maybe the video was going to be the moment, but yeah, it meanders way too long.
It doesn't. It's as we've said this many times. It was all sizzle, no steak. It was all about that character. Someone's really in love with that character, forgetting that. And I talk about having a voiceover all the time. This is the one time I wish there wasn't a voiceover because the art was actually appealing.
Yeah, the art and some of the stories look like they could be good stories. It seems to be kind of a mix of everything, and I might still go give it a look because I do love anthologies, but I think their presentation could have been stronger.
And I hope they're watching this because, again, with this show, you have the opportunity to hear from people. And we've just told you nothing's working. You can go change the title. You can go change your main picture. You can change your pitch, and you can update your video. Realistically, go to 106 when you start talking about the project and start building from that point on. Get rid of the character that I don't know because I don't care. And I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm being honest. Like, brutal honesty is what's good about this show. You have good art. It looks like you've got great creator teams. Give me a better reason to back this. Give me, like, the creators came together despite what's happened through the last couple of years, and we've brought you a second anthology despite the hardships creators have faced. If you just said that and let it be, it'd be so much better. You don't need a minute of beating me up and telling me how hard the last 2 years are because everyone knows how hard
I was living. They sucked.
Yeah, like a lot of people, even who didn't make comics, have suffered, and you're forgetting that. You're making it seem like only comics is affected. It's tone deaf.
Yeah.
8 and 5 seconds and drop it and go on and entertain because we are entertainers. And there is entertainment in there. There was great art. There was interesting looking stories. Highlight those 16 creative teams. List them. List them with the pitches. Give me pitches. Hit me. Make me buy the book. Don't guilt me into it. You're going to find out real quick that I'm a dad and I'm an ex-husband. Those two things should tell you guilt doesn't work on me. All right, we're going to move on. Hopefully we'll see an update with them. This does not have a video, but we'll look at the imagery. So let's start with the image. The image, it's interesting, but I don't know it gives me a lot. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, I think I can't really tell what's going on. It looks like an isolated panel, but I think you'd want a stronger splash page or cover, something that really sells the story. So that's not grabbing me. The art looks beautiful though. I mean, I'll give it that much, but I don't really know what I'm looking at.
So I'll be honest, this is a point where I would honestly suggest not using the number of the issue, because I think if you put Sister of Mercy, Cardinal Sin, and then in the body said you could get the other 4 chapters, you could get the sale. I sometimes think by saying number 5, you lose an audience. They're like, I'll just wait for the trade. There are a lot of people out there who will say, I'll wait for the trade. If you can get them past that mental block, right away, they'll come look at it. Because if you said Sister of Mercy, Cardinal Sin, get rid of the chapter 5, Put Sister of Mercy right on top of Cardinal Sin. Only have one of those because the two circle things don't look right together. I've never seen anyone use those. Those are like aesthetically bother me, and they're not even. They're just centered in weird places that are blocking the art that I'm interested in. Like, is that rope tied to her? Is she taking the nun Sister Mercy, I guess, hostage? I'm left with more questions. It's good art, but I don't know what I want. But here we go. Psych. Jaxie. Help me with that word because now
schizophrenic.
Thank you. Schizophrenic nun is led by the voice of God through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. That's a win.
I like it. Yeah, that's solid.
Great
That's brought me in.
Right there, that was the best all night so far. That's
really good.
That brings it home. And right there, yes, I would click and I would watch a video if there was a video, and I would look at the campaign and I'd circle back because just right there alone. So if they just tighten this up and give us Sister Mercy Cardinal Sin, I think about it. Without that number 5, doesn't it sound more attractive?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Chapter
one of those things
books.
where it's also they I don't know if they put 1 through 5, but I know, like you said, the wait for the trade mentality is so huge. I mean, the moment I released issue 1, I had people saying, "Oh, I'll wait till you put a trade out." I'm thinking, shoot, I don't know if I can get issue 2 out, let alone a trade. But that's such a mentality in the comic collecting world. And if you made it to 5, you're gonna make it to a trade. So yeah, it could be one of those things that say, all right, maybe I got to wait 1 more issue. I'll do that and get the trade. So I can see how it would scare people off. For me, it doesn't bother me as long as they have a tier that I can catch up with.
Let me ask you a question. This might change your mind on it forever. And think about it. How many times have you heard a television show mention the episode number they're on in any advertisements, except for 100 or first issue or season opener or season ender?
Yeah, first episode or
They
final
don't.
episode. That's it. They don't. Otherwise, yeah, no numbers.
They want you to jump on. They don't care when you jump on. Just jump on. I think we have a horrible mentality. Number 1s sell well. After number 1s, talk about the chapter. I did that with Barbara Unleashed, and it really helped because people came on board because I did everything as a chapter. And I would get new readers who didn't feel intimidated. Well, do I have to get the first issue? Well, you should, but it does stand alone, so it gives you a bit of a recap. The third issue, do you need the other 2? I would suggest that because it won't make as much sense, but it gives you enough information. You want to do that. You want to invite people in. Don't hit them over the head because right away you're like, oh, I'd have to buy 5 issues. You haven't fallen in love yet. You know, it's like a girl, like I hate to say it, when you're dating and they have read something that you wouldn't normally be okay with. In the picture when you first meet them, you might be less hesitant, whether it be they're a cat person. For me, that would be it. I don't like cats. I'm allergic to them. If I knew they're a cat person and they showed me a cat picture when I first met them, that might make me not want to date them, you know? And that's just the real. And I know I'm cat dad. That's the joke. That's the joke, everyone. I don't like cats and cats don't like me. All right, so here we go. Andrew gives us Conversations in Pop Culture Season 3. This is not a comic book, full disclosure. This is a pop culture podcast highlighted indie content creators. It's not a lot. It's a show. So we're just giving them a shout out. We're just showing them some respect and some love. We're shouting out.
And I have a full bias on this one because I've done a couple great interviews with him, and it's it's something I support because I want to support him, and he does great interviews. So I can't judge this one because I have a full bias, and he's.
Well, I don't think we should judge this one because this isn't a comic. This is someone helping our industry. We're just giving him some love, giving him.
Oh yeah, he go watch his interviews. He always does a thorough job, and his was one of the first interviews where he just took me completely off guard because he read it. He read the issues several times and was digging deep into stuff. So I'm like, all right, someone who you give an interview and they don't even read the books. Like, no, he read deep. He was one that was a fun interview. So support him if you can.
Yeah, so most of it's about this and continue to doing this because, even doing these programs not only take time, but take energy and money, and you have to pay for certain things. So helping your creator, especially when it takes the time to read the books, like Ed just said, that's important because he's actually getting involved. He's not just someone who shows up and goes, well, what's your book about again, Ed? You're about cats, right? You had a book about cats that are in like space, right? And Ed goes, no, not at all.
Yeah.
That is not what my book. Did you read my book? No, I was busy playing Nintendo Switch that I got for Christmas. That's a lot of the interviews out there. So it is important to keep the guys who are taking the time, and gals who are taking the time to do everything right and keep them doing what they're doing. We're getting to the end of the program. I think we have enough time to get through. Yes, this is the last one, so we'll actually have time to go through this whole one. Here we go. Let's start off. This is from Jack Holder. Legends of the Realm, #1, The Floated Dream. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And of course,
it's a strong start. I would look at that and want to know more already.
I think the image is good.
Yeah.
I would get rid of the Legend of the Realm just because you have Legend of the Realm. There's very rare places this Kickstarter is not going to have the name right underneath the art.
Yeah.
And I think it detracts from it, actually, because the art's really nice. I would have rather no lettering in that. But what do you think with the image?
I think it's fine. I think where they have the lettering, it doesn't really interfere with the image because the previous one we looked at, those lettering circles really kind of obstructed what you were looking at. With this one, it's in the cloud, so it doesn't interfere. I think let the image speak for itself. That's kind of where I lie on these ones. Is I never, for my own campaigns, I never put any lettering because I want the image to do all the talking.
Yeah, let the art speak, exactly. So so far, two good things. The mage Cameron finds a city in the clouds, but is this a dream or a nightmare? Legends of Realm continues. That's now the only thing that I have a problem with is that you put Legends of the Realm continues now. So now you've made me a little confused by the #1, but Realms continues. Does this mean there's another series I need to now have?
Yeah, this could be a spin-off or something.
A panic moment how much do I have to invest to be part of this? Like I just met it. Now all of a sudden they want to move in. We got to share the electric bill. What's happening? It's too fast. I would have just put, I think the mage, but it's a dream, nightmare, end it there. Don't mention the continuation.
Yeah.
Because again,
but I'm fine with the continuation, but I think it's because I'm very guilty of writing a series that isn't great to just jump on at a random issue. You kind of got to read it all to understand. So it's hard, and I'm trying to, in the second story arc that I'm writing, build a point where you can jump on anywhere and not be completely lost. So it's, a live and learn kind of thing, but I don't get scared off by it. But then when I see the price, a lot of times that's what scares me off. Like, oh crap, to catch up is going to cost me a small fortune, and I don't have that kind of money. So that might be where I get lost.
And here's a tip for all of you that I'm going to give you right now. Consider this when you have a bigger, especially for you, Ed, for issue #6, sell the issue with the PDF pack attached to it. Get the issue in a hard copy today. Jump on, get a physical copy. I'm going to give you all 5 issues and I'll deliver it before you get your issue #6 in the mail. Here are the digital ones. Price it reasonably, 5 issues. I think a $10 PDF pack on top of, with the cost of the book itself is fair. They get the book, and by the time they get the book, they want to rip open the package and read the book if you've done your job right. And I think you have. I've read your stuff. I back all your campaigns. I am guilty of waiting for the trade for his, but that has more to do with the fact that I like to support PDFs, and I'm hoping he comes back down, and I'll buy the books when he comes back down from him if the trade's not there, just to save on shipping. Because if I know I'm going to meet up with the creator, I try to buy it from their table.
Yeah.
It's just a personal, and plus I can help my friends, throw them a couple bucks, show the support. That's the importance of $1 and all that. So I think we both agree this didn't get a strike. This would definitely get
no. So far so good.
So do you want me to play it from here or try the other one?
I think this might work better because the last one it just glitched out completely.
All right, so we'll do it from here. So we're both here. So now we could even talk during it if there's. All right, save problems. The art's great.
Yeah.
All right, it's telling me a new adventure. I've seen that character before, so this was actually in comic book school. I've seen that character in comic book. It's in the free PDF if you download it. So maybe this is a spin-off from that. Oh, here we go.
Floating city of Providentia, shining beacon for the kingdom of Danisfire.
Okay, the audio is horrible. This has
Yeah,
to be
I thought maybe it was just how we were playing it.
Oh,
but
it's literally that because everything else was fine. So I hear it right away. On my end, it's much worse than what you're hearing.
Set high above the rest of the world. But what life must one give up to live amongst the clouds? Hi, I'm Jack Holder, the writer and creator of Legends of the Realm. This series...
Reading from the screen, you have to put it higher up. Put your notes higher up because now all I can see is you looking and I can't unsee it.
This is returning to Kickstarter for a brand new adventure. This epic fantasy comic is the first of 6, as our main character, Camridian, ventures out into the kingdom.
I'm out. This is, I've officially hit backer pause. Let me know if you do or don't.
To find a new miracle. Legends of the Realm is the kind of fantasy comic that you've been missing. Featuring epic locations, magical battles, and deep introspection of the character.
I think I'm done
Camridian
too.
is quite possibly my...
Telling me what I've been missing, that's a swing. That's a swing. Because
and I sympathize because I'm not good at the talking head stuff on a campaign either, but I never read it. I always memorize it, and I think that's where I freak out the most. Is like it's like an actor learning lines, and that's why I'm not an actor, because reading it is just like you said. You can tell as soon as you said it. That's the only thing I saw, but I don't think it would make me necessarily not want to get the book because the art and the story sounds interesting enough. I would still be willing to jump in, but yeah, it's the talking head stuff.
Based on the video, like you, I would go further. I would dive in, and I would even suggest to Jack, simply don't put yourself on camera if you're going to read the script. Yeah. Say hi, big smile. Hi, I'm Jack. I'm the creator behind this, and then flash the images and read your script away.
Yeah, let the story sell it.
Unless you're a model, you don't need to be on the camera for very long.
Yeah, just a quick little intro and let people know who you are, and then show us more of the book because that's beautiful looking stuff. And we know it's part 1 of 6, so this is your jumping on point. You don't have to feel like you're lost because I know for you that's something you have more difficulty with. But like I said, it's for me it's hard because that's what I'm selling. It's a book that rewards continued readership. So
well, you get them in the door. You talk about you give them the pitch, you make them come in, and then you talk about the PDF pack. Make it soft, like really, like be like, hey, yeah, no, this is okay. Come with me on the journey.
And I always do that anyway. If they're buying issue 5. When I was doing the last campaign, I sent all 5 PDFs, even if they only bought the 1, because that way, all right, you don't have to worry about it. You can jump right in. What does a PDF cost to me? I mean, it's not a problem to give them all the issues on PDF because then you get the collectors and they just don't want to open the book. So they want to keep it nice and mint. So they'd rather read the PDF. So for me, that's always, if you look at the campaign, it would say, okay, you buy issue 6. It includes PDFs of issues 1 through 5 and 6 with just the cost of the physical book.
All right, guys, we have 60 seconds or so. It's a race to the end this evening. Coming on the 18th next week, Make Cat Dad 2. Make 100 for Cat Dad 2. The exclusive comic book cover comes to life this Friday. Mike James. Bensington has his amazing story coming out. I think it's amazing. I've been watching it be built. I'm excited for him. I can't wait to talk about this next week. I'm actually going to offer him the judge spot next week. This is Brink and Fetch. Want to have fun? Look for it this Friday as 2 girls making their way through a chaotic world goes live. Then we have from Vera Sam, we have coming soon, The Alien in My Toilet. I did not misread that. That is the title. And yes, I know you're interested, so you'll be back to see more. Then we're going to have coming soon Salvation 01. This is coming in February. And the Chaos Kid returns on the 17th to Kickstarter. Make sure that you back at least one of these projects for at least $1. Real quick, Ed, where can they find you? You got 30 seconds.
Find me on social media under Finish Line Comics. on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and finishlinecomics.com, and you can check out the web store there if you want to pick up any issues.
All right, you guys are going to watch a video, and it might not get to the end. We're out of time. We'll see you next week on Wednesday, 9 p.m. And if you're watching this in actual repeat, just go to BACKERPAUSE.com and back what you liked that you saw. The power of a single dollar. One single dollar can help make dreams come true. Every dollar is a declaration of support and belief. It helps the creators and the teams behind